Good morning everybody, and a very warm welcome to Mildenhall and Districts, and a very Merry Christmas to you all. And today in this video we're going to look at something that I touched upon on my previous video, and I'd like to thank everybody who's commented on my last video because it's very nice of you, and all those Merry Christmas wishes. So thank you to all those that have done that to me, because I really very much appreciate all your support. So today we'll be taking a closer look at this Dapol 59, and I've managed to get a chip for it, which is a Dapol Imperial 1, which is what they recommended. Now I'm going to what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to show you the insides, because I haven't actually seen anybody do a video where they're showing you the insides of the 59 and how to fit the decoder, because there's a potential pitfall in it, and you have to be careful, because I'll show you as we get into it, but I've seen a lot of videos on the Dapol 59 and no one seems to really show body removal and DCC fitting on this. A lot of people have showed videos of them running and haven't said too much, or just showed or given their opinions, but nobody that I've seen anyway have actually showed you how to take the body off and do DCC fitting. So that's what we're going to be doing this morning. So I'm going to just drop you down and then we're going to have a closer look at this. And there we go. So I have had the body open before because I did have a Batman chip that I was going to put into it, but it turns out it doesn't fit. So that's why I've needed the Dapol chip, which is why I need to explain this body removal for you, because some people might not realise it. So I have had it out. And there's a few things you should know. And it's a beautiful locomotive. I'm really pleased with it and impressed with it. I've ran it on DC just to check that it works. So it does seem to work all right on DC, and it sounds very quiet, although I have heard people say that it is quite loud. But I'm really impressed. Now, what you do get with this is, what I should say, as you just see it just roll over, is you get these wheel guards at the bottom, which you just sort of slip off. And here is said 59. Got to be careful how I handle it. And it is beautiful. It really is. It's a beautiful locomotive. What I would say is delivery on this by Dapol. To me, the DB Schenker is a little bit more on the orange side than it is on the red side. There's a hint of orange in this. And let me see if I can get out one of my Batman DB 66s and sort of show you the difference. So bear with me a minute. So here is the Batman 66 versus the Dapol 59, which is this one. And you can just see automatically, just by the roof, you look at the difference between the two colours, that there's definitely more orange in the Dapol 59 than there is in the Batman 66. As you can see, definitely in the livery, that the Dapol 59 is definitely a bit more on the orange side than it is on the red. But I still like it. Like I said, I'm not a rivet counter. I'm not going to turn around and say, oh, you know, I mean, it's not as bad as the Hornby with the Class 50s where they completely got the shade of blue wrong. I mean, this isn't actually too bad. And I suspect, in reality, I have actually seen the real one, and they do tend to go. I mean, as the light and the sun and the weather in the real life weather gets to these locomotives, they do sort of fade and weather slightly differently, and maybe there are slightly different shades. So I'm not going to go too mad about it. Like I said, I'm not a rivet counter or anything, but you can definitely tell that the Dapol one on the bottom is definitely more orange than the Batman one, which is more red on the top. So I've just dropped you down a little bit more, and what I'm going to do is we're going to remove the body, and the way to do that is you just slip some 4 cards. There's 4 clips, I think they're sort of about there, 2 on each side, so it's about there. My apologies if I'm a bit sniffly because I'm still under the weather. Just got to find these clips. Now luckily this is unlike the Houghton 66 where the grab irons, or sorry, the grab handles I should say, for the doors aren't attached to the body, so you don't have to worry about breaking those off. You just sort of slip it in if you can. And that should just drop out now. Oh yeah, the other thing you have to, because I've made this mistake without realising it, this air dam at the back with the NEM socket, I should say, just needs to pop out, kind of a bit like if you insert the ones on the Batman ones, because they're just clipped in. Because otherwise what will happen is that these will just literally just go pinging somewhere. I didn't realise it when I did it the first time round. So you need to remove the air dam as well. And then there you go, there goes the body. Now the important thing to note also is to make sure that when you do put the body back that it is on the right way round. Right, so I've had a look at the instructions because I needed to double check this lighting configuration. And this lighting configuration is mainly for DCC, for DC, that you can turn it on and off and switch it. Like I said, it's all in the instructions. But for DCC, it doesn't really matter by the sounds of things. Now, one of the things I wanted to point out to you is, careful how I lift this, is there's a couple of things that I noticed when I took the body off. And there's a couple of wires, which I don't know if you can see them just here, the black and the red, and they were almost entangled within the blanking chip. And that made life a little bit tricky to get the blanking chip off. I don't know why they did it like that. Another thing they've noticed is that they've got this little I think it's a capacitor or something here, which means that you can't fit a longer chip. So if you try to put a Batman chip in it, I couldn't do it. So I didn't want to damage it, so it's just left well enough line, which is I think the reason why they recommend using the Dapol Imperial chip, because the Dapol Imperial chip is pretty much the same size as this blanking chip, whereas if you try and put a Batman chip in it, it just overhangs, and it'll end up rubbing against this. You might break this off, so you've got to be so careful. So basically, I couldn't use the Batman chip, and I don't think you can use a Batman chip anyway because they're 4 functions. It recommends a 6-function chip. So those are the things to bear in mind. So I've just removed the chip. I was having a bit of trouble getting the chip out, just purely because I just wanted to concentrate on it rather than film it. So here is our little Batman, Dapol Imperium decoder that it recommends. So that's now in, and because that's so small, that doesn't have any interruption with the I don't know whether it's a resistor or a capacitor or whatever that is. But like I said, if you get about anything longer, which is I think one of the reasons why they might have had some trouble with some of the sound versions, because I don't know whether that might be an issue, because if it's too long, then you won't fit in there properly. You might risk damaging the component. So let's take it to the layout and see if we get any joy out of it. So let's go and see. So here is our chassis, and I've just, like I said, I've just put it on the track. And it seems to be working okay. I haven't tested it with the lights yet. Doesn't seem too bad on its sound, so we'll see. We'll put the body on and test the lighting functions. So here's our body shell. And obviously you need to remember which way end, which should be fairly self-explanatory because you've had to take the air dam off the other end anyway. So it should just basically, hopefully, just slot back in. It did last time. Right, that seems to have clicked in. So as you can see, the lighting is on and it works. I have played about with it a little bit. It does take a little bit of getting used to because it's a bit like the Hatton 66, where, you know, it's not like a lot of locos like that do have lighting where you just press 0 and the lights just work on or off. Because this has got various functions. It's got daytime and nighttime running. It's got independent directional lighting and all the rest of it, and whether you want to turn the tail light. It does take a little bit of getting used to, but it does all seem to be working. The instructions are provided by Dapol that explain to you what the functions are and how to use them, both for DC, that's DC, and that's for DCC. So again, it's just going through the instructions and seeing what works for you, really. I'm quite happy with the way it's set up, and it seems to be also quiet. If I just switch it over, you can see that the tail lights are out, and that's just purely because in theory that would be pulling something, so you wouldn't need the tail lights on. So I'm not particularly too bothered about not having the tail lights working, although they do work, so you can have them working or not. So am I happy with my Dapol 59? Yes, I am. Definitely. It seems to be a relatively smooth runner, which is something that I was concerned about, because I knew that I think it was Wessex and West bought a fantastic channel. If you haven't checked it out, please do. Wessex and West, it's absolutely amazing layout. And he runs some 59s. Now he hasn't got the DB Schenker one. He's got the Village, the ARC one, and the, I think it's a Yeoman one. And basically, he said that his Village of Mells, I think it's Village of Mells, the ARC one that he's got, was particularly noisy. So I had heard that the motors on the Dapols are quite noisy, but thankfully this one's okay. To me, it doesn't seem to be any more noisy than the Batman version, to be perfectly truthful with you. In fact, I do actually have an issue with one of my Batman 66s at the moment, which I have to look into, because that one is running very roughly at the moment. So that's something that I'm going to have to look into. But as far as this one's concerned, you know, it's arrived here, which, to be fair, I bought it from Hampshire Models in Basingstoke. So that's only literally around the corner from where I work. So I did have a chance to have a brief look at it, but I didn't actually, obviously the running I couldn't sort out till I got home. But thankfully, nothing's broken, nothing's rattling, nothing's missing. It all works. And so it's just getting used to it, really. It's a bit like the Hatton 66, because as these locos are getting more and more sort of complex in terms of, I mean, before, for example, you used to buy a basic locomotive with the lights and you're just happy that the lights worked in just one direction. And then they brought it that, oh, you've got head and tail lights. And then you were just happy that you just pressed the F0 and you got both, you know, and it switched from either direction. You were great. And now we're moving forward into the realms of independent lighting. You can have it as night light running. You can have it as a heavy load or as a light load. And, you know, so you have to get used to it, because it's a bit like my Hatton 66s, because they were the sort of first ones that I had with independent lighting, I think. And, you know, you've got various functions to do various lighting functions. So it's getting used to all of that. But nonetheless, I'm very happy with how it looks. It looks absolutely fabulous. The detail's really great. Some people say that it's priced at the middle of the road, but to be honest with you, I £147 I paid for DCC ready. The price of the decoders has gone up, and that's it there. Look how beautiful that looks. That looks really, really nice. It's really great for the money. I think it's absolutely great value, I have to say. And like I said, my one runs really, really smoothly and really nicely, so I'm really, really pleased with that. Because like I said, I was worried about having to take it back because it might be there might be something wrong with the motor or something, but it seems to be absolutely fine. So well done, Dapol. I'm really pleased with it. And like I said, it's just, I think the price of my decoder that I paid was about £22 or £23, which is about the going rate. Paul didn't have any Dapol ones, but he was recommended possibly an ESU one. But again, he was saying that decoder is £30, so it's just absolutely crazy. So no, I didn't realise that. If I'd realised that the price of the decoder's gone up, I might have considered buying a DCC fitted one already, which is something to bear in mind. That if you are thinking that you'd rather get, because this is what happened to me with this one. When I bought this one, I was thinking, I'm going to buy a DCC ready one because I've got a chip here at home and I can just put that straight in and save the money on the chip. And that chip, the Dapol Imperium, cost me £22, £23, I think it was. But as it turns out, because of the way it's set up, I couldn't fit the Bachmann chip in there. And from what I gather, I think some people have. And because I've seen some reviews on YouTube, but they said it doesn't really run that great. So they do recommend that you do put a Dapol Imperium chip in it. Now, I'll be honest with you, I haven't had much luck with Dapol chips. I don't really particularly like them, to be honest with you. Because I've had two in the past which I've blown up for no reason, no fault of my own. I've just literally put it on in the locomotive, stuck it on the track. The loco went haywire, and then it blew the chip. So, and that's happened to me twice with Dapol chips. But luckily, thankfully, on this one, it's all gone smoothly, thankfully. So, like I said, that is something to bear in mind doing this video. I haven't really seen anyone do a video like this. So, the things to look out for is basically see if you've got, I guess the thing to do is decide whether you want a DCC, because at the moment you can't get sound ones at the moment unless you get a Rhodes and Rails chip. So the thing to do is, if you don't want a sound one, just a plain one on DCC, is check if you've got if you're going to buy a DCC ready one, make sure that you've got a Dapol Imperial chip already, because the Bachmann chips just won't work. They're too long and they will get caught up in the components. 2 is to check taking off the blanking plate and make sure that the wires aren't entangled in the blanking plate like mine were, so you have to kind of carefully move them without damaging the wiring, which I don't know why that happened, but so I managed to get away with that. So be careful with that. Also, when removing the body, just make sure you remove the air dam where the NEM socket is, because which is this end, because when you lift the body up, this air dam will just drop and ping. And at first I didn't realise that until I found it on the floor. I didn't realise it done that. So I learnt my lesson from the second time around. So that's the other thing to bear in mind. So, and have fun with it, because basically it looks like it's a great locomotive, but it doesn't really say anything about the body removal. It does say that it's got 4 clips for the body removal, and it doesn't actually say anything. It just says to remove the body. It says the body is held to the chassis by 4 clips position as shown above. So they give you a diagram, which is that diagram there. And gently ease the body, which, to be fair, it did. But it doesn't mention anything about removing the air dam from the NEM socket end. So please make sure you do that, because what you don't want to do is break it off. I think you get another one in the bag anyway. Yeah, you do, but obviously you don't want to damage it or lose it without even realising it. So that's kind of one of the main takeaways from this video. So yes, I have seen other people's videos out there and that have actually shown their 59s running, but I haven't actually seen anyone really go into any kind of depth and actually show you what the insides look like. So hopefully, if you are interested in buying one of these 59s, you have a rough idea. I'm assuming that all the other 59 from Dapol have all got the same sort of chassis interior. I'm not so sure with the ones, like I said, where the headlights are vertical, but I should imagine it's pretty much a similar kind of deal. So just bear those things in mind if you are going to buy one, and when you're DCC fitting one, just those things to bear in mind, just to save yourself any kind of headache later on, because the last thing you want to do is buy one and then realise that you haven't got the decoder, because the decoder you do have at home doesn't fit, because that's what happened to me. So I had to end up waiting another few days. And like I said, if I'd known that previously, or somebody had mentioned that to me previously, I might have just bought a DCC fitted one as opposed to a DCC ready one, because to be honest, I think it's £175 for a DCC fitted. So, and it's 150, so well, 147, that sort of mark for a DCC ready one. So it might be worth, if you don't want the hassle, just buy a DCC fitted one, and then you know you've got your decoder inside the locomotive, and that literally is then a plug and play kind of thing, rather than having them to remove the body and do all the adjustments. So that's something to really bear in mind. Anyway, I hope this video helps, and until the next time, continue season's greetings and a happy new year to you all. So bye for now. Bye bye.